Hello again. So, as I said in the last video, I'm going to try and continue on tonight and do another. Just about to genuinely get into the running away part, what I think of as one of the more intense parts, although let's be real, it was all kind of intense. But before I get into that, there's still a few things I noted, a few events that I guess happened right before that. So there was a particular time, and I always think about this when I think about him telling me to pack my bags, but it happened a lot. It's just this is a time in particular that really comes to memory. I sort of made reference to it in the sense that he started making me repent upon this time. What he did was we got in a huge fight, and he proceeded to tell me to pack my bag. I did. He told me to get out. I did. I walked around the block, or walked like over and across the park, which is like a couple blocks away, but you could still see because it's just park in between. And then after I'd gotten up the hill, he came and picked me up and told me that he was going to do something to even it out, or to like make up for how I'd been bad. He was going to allow me to do something or whatever. I don't remember how he worded it. All in all, repent. He's going to allow me to repent. He had this mindset or this belief that maybe I was misbehaving so much because I felt like the scales were uneven. I had been so bad, I needed to make up for being bad, and then once I felt like I had evened out the scales and made up for being bad, then I would stop being bad. Or something like that, I don't know. That's what he convinced himself of. So, brought me home, brought my bag in, told me to go put my makeup on and get changed into nylons and particular clothing. He told me to put my hair into pigtails, which is funny. It's one of the like diagnosing factors that I had for learning that I had PTSD. Was talking to the psychologist about how for a while doing my hair in pigtails was traumatizing. It was triggering for me because all I thought about was his insistence that I do that, so that he could have me go down into the basement and sit down and cry in front of the camera about how shitty my mother had been to me and how it made me a shitty person. And then he would then strip me, tie my hands above my head into the rafters of the basement, and anally rape me for a while. And then tie me up on with my back against my childhood dresser, like laying against it, and proceed to give me an enema for whatever reason, which was very painful, I might add. And like, yeah, he stuffed my mouth with a sock as well, but like, it wasn't taped or anything, so I spat it out at a point and was like, ow, this hurts, and he sort of stopped. But the whole time, like, he was recording it, as I mentioned, and wore like a balaclava the whole time, so like I was really the only person visible per se in the video, but I was blindfolded for a significant amount of it. So he liked to taunt me later and tell me that during that experience he had brought someone else in and that I was being raped by someone else that I didn't even know. I don't know, I can't ever, like, I didn't hear anyone come in. I feel like I would have sensed someone else there. I sure was overwhelmed at the time, so, you know, I can't really argue or know if he was telling the truth or if he was just being a douche and making me feel that much more awful. But yeah, he did that. He told me, he used to, like, taunt me with that idea that he had brought someone else into that situation, and I just didn't know about it. And then there was a time later on where, like, whenever I got the chance, I slept forever. I slept until forever. So I'd slept until like 4 or 5 or whatever, and I came out of my room getting up for the day and saw that he was sitting in the living room, rather excited, physically excited, watching all the videos he'd made of me, because he was compiling them all into like one clip or one disc or something. I don't remember. He then claimed that he deleted and destroyed it all, but he also claimed that he was going to put it on the internet. So God knows. God knows. Well, I feel like this would be expected of any rape victim, especially one of a chronic case. I mean, I'm not belittling anyone who's been raped one or just a couple times, but it does become a different experience, a different type of trauma when it's chronic, when it's all the time, when you know it's going to happen again, when there's no question that it's going to happen again. So I really learned to numb myself, to go somewhere else completely. Like, I literally felt at times that I was outside of my body watching it happen, which is interesting. It's really interesting because it made enjoying sex very difficult, but I was so adamant that I was not going to lose my opportunity to enjoy sex with another person because he had taken it away from me for so long. I knew that it could be a great experience between two people, and I just didn't want that fact to be taken away from me, especially since he'd made it so terrible for so long. I wanted to be able to fucking enjoy it. So it took some work and therapy, and I mean, it's still something I'm working on. But sex has become a really positive part of my life now, and I'm very grateful for that. But there was a lot of, like, just complete disconnect, which is, yeah, the human brain coping, I guess. Fun. No. Oh, yeah. There's also other times where he just had the most ridiculous ideas. He, experimented every possible sexual idea he could with me, I guess. I don't know. That's what a lot of people think who know the details of the situation. But there's a time where he, had me use a banana on myself sexually, and it was so uncomfortable and so painful and, so pointless, and I just don't understand why men like that idea. But he recorded that too, of course. Yeah. And then there was another time where he, just out of nowhere was, very emotional and lamented and, just kind of kissed me out of nowhere in the hallway, and we, never kissed. Nothing beyond, peck on the cheek even. I just never sought for that, never made that, in any way a thing, or wanted it, of course. And so there was just no kissing, and then there's this random time where he, kind of passionately kissed me in the hallway, and I kind of, was clueless and bewildered and sort of responded, and he took me being somewhat responsive, I guess, sitting there in shock and not pushing him away, as me having been so passionate too, and what about that kiss? And it was just what about that kiss? What was with that? Ugh, I don't know. He's so confused, so fucked up. And it really didn't help that I was such a fucked up, confused child too. I was so just not bewildered the whole time. So yeah, that incorporated some nice, awesome confusion. But getting into the running away story. In first year of university, I got into an economics class and met a boy. I don't feel there's anything wrong with using first names personally. I don't even remember his last name. No, wait, I do, but I won't mention it. But anyway, I met someone named Jackson, and he changed my life completely. They're a unique individual, got plenty of mental health issues on his own. He's got his own little basket of crazy, just like anyone, but he really is incredibly impressive in how he would manage it and just not impose on other people with it. He'd always keep it to himself. I think it was bipolar disorder, but I'm not sure what he dealt with. But he was a really great guy, and I really appreciated his company, and I had started developing a crush on him, I think. Yeah, definitely did. And I started telling John that I was like studying and then just kind of talking to him for hours instead on campus. And I started confiding in him a bit about my abuse. And he sort of talked to me about how his mother had been sort of in a bad situation when she was younger and had to get herself out when she was 16, she was kicked out when she was 16 and like had to deal, and it was really hard for her, and so he empathized basically because of that, and just kind of started teaching me, getting into my brain the idea that I should stop waiting for tomorrow, stop waiting for things to get better tomorrow, and start making tomorrow better myself. And he kind of made me realize that, like, you know, my adoptive father had said he'd stop hitting me thousands of times. He said he'd stop, and he wanted to, and like it wasn't right, and he shouldn't be. Right in the middle of fights, he'd be like, "This isn't right. This shouldn't be happening. This shouldn't be happening." And then it just happened again because he was just into the habit of it. It was just a characteristic of our relationship now. And so I kind of, oh yeah, there was a time where, like, I don't think John ever learned about this, but Jackson convinced me. He lived just down, sort of like a 10-minute bus ride from the campus. So he convinced me to like go hang out at his apartment when we were supposed to be studying on campus. I had never gone off campus before this. Like, the only time I wasn't around my adoptive father was being on campus. So I was pretty scared. I'd never used my bus pass before. I was really afraid of like getting caught and getting in trouble. But I didn't. It was interesting, I didn't. So we went back to his place, and like I made out with him. I made out with a boy for the first time in, what was I was 19 then. So like 5 years. 6 years. Like last time I made out with a boy was like 13 or 14. 13, I think. 13. So like 6 years. And it was interesting. It was an interesting experience. Nothing like, there's no sex or anything. It was just making out and like touching and stuff, but we're both grown adults. It's just more like the context of everything. You know, I went home to be raped, but that happened, and that really changed everything, that experience, because I started to trust Jackson, and I started to think he was right, that I couldn't keep waiting for things to change on their own. And so when John, my adoptive father, would go and say, you know, well, get out, and get mad at me and say, get the fuck out, pack a bag, get out. I had been in discussion with Jackson for a while about the fact that I was getting kicked out, and he was like, well, my mom got kicked out at 16. She's given me permission that I can help you if you want, so like you can come here until you can find a place if you want. And so I was like, fine, all right, that sounds good. I got somewhere to go. And so he told me to get the fuck out, and for the first time ever, I confidently said, fine, I will then. And I packed a quick bag with my laptop and some stuff, because I think it was just before exams, like the end of exams. I'm not even sure now, but I think it was end of April, just before exams ended. And I left. I walked away, and I walked to Jackson's. And it was the first time I ever had anywhere to go, which really changed things a lot. Changed everything. But that all didn't go so well. Like, it kind of imploded. I didn't handle the situation right. I needed more help to stay away, unfortunately. But just to take a step back, I see I missed a detail I mentioned in my testimony, is like, I did say he hit me a lot in the car. I did mention this before, but just a couple events that are kind of interesting in terms of like Canadians speaking up is there was a time we were driving somewhere down over in the like east-ish end of London, and he just kind of hit me full fist. Something just like pop. And a guy was pulling out of his car and looking our way to like, you know, make sure it was clear. Saw and like just stopped his vehicle mid getting out of his driveway, got out of the vehicle and was just like, "Did you just hit her? Did I just see you hit her?" And John just like played stupid, called him an idiot, and was just like, "No." And then I played good little abuse victim and like bad-eyed him and glared at him because, well, mostly what I'm thinking is you're just getting me in trouble. But it was also like, I was told like, give him a bad eye so that he thinks that he's being an idiot, sort of thing. Like, who does he think he is? And of course, that's not happening, and how dumb is he? Or whatever, I don't know. And then there was another time, I think I might have mentioned this actually, where another lady, she saw from behind that he had been hitting me. And she didn't know what to do, but she wanted to do something. So she started tailgating him and honking her horn like fucking crazy. It was insane. She's going back and forth, and she's just kind of going nuts. And it was funny. And he was just like, "What the fuck's your problem, lady?" And he just like slammed on his brakes, threw it in park, and got out of his car. And she wasn't tailgating so bad that she hit him, but she ended up like, you know, nose up in the air as she was trying to stop behind him. And then as he got out, she was just like, "Fuck!" Freaked out, of course, and just like drove around and ran away. I felt bad for her. But it was interesting the way she responded. Like, she was just like, she wanted to do something about it so bad, but she didn't know what to do. Like, she was so lost that she was just like, I gotta call attention to the fact that this is happening. I don't know what to do, but somebody's got to know that this isn't right, that someone's getting hurt in that vehicle. And I don't know. Thank you, miss. Thank you for caring. You didn't help the situation. You only upset him more, but it's cool that you cared. It's nice that you cared. Maybe like in reflection of like what I said in my other video, think about ways that you can actually help them develop a new life, because merely seeing that someone's in a bad situation isn't helping them. By like asking them if they need help, like they need to see that there's help there to be had before they can say that they need help. It's just a big part of being in the victim mentality. So anyway, I went to Jackson's, and he actually had to go that night because he had his G2 test for his driver's license, which he failed, poor guy. But he had to go like stay at his parents and do it in the town he came from. So I ended up staying in his room by myself that night, which is funny. And starting to look for jobs and look for apartments. And I had found a job to go for an appointment for, like the very next day. It was ridiculous. It was such a scam, but whatever. The next day before he came back, like I went for that interview. It was selling knives. It was dumb. Got the job because they were like, "You're willing to fall for this. You get the job." And then I came back and called John and tried to speak with him about what happened. No. Oh, I forgot. So was it that he called me or that he like just ran into me? One or the other. I think he called me and I answered the phone. And then he was like, "Where are you?" And I sort of met him downtownish somewhere. And then we talked and he was like, that's not what happened. Is it? Is it not? It sounds familiar. Yes. And he was like reassuring me that everything was going to be okay, and And I tried, this was like my first attempt to try and say to him, like, I just want to have a father-daughter relationship. What's going on isn't okay. Like, I want to have family with you, but father-daughter only. And he was like, yes, okay, yes, of course. Just come home. And I was like, well, my friend Jackie, because of course I'm not going to tell him it's a boy, has taken me in, and she's like got this sleepover party planned for us tonight, and I just kind of don't want to like just back out on her. Like, I was kind of looking forward to it. She had to go last night, and we were going to hang out tonight. And he was like, okay, well, here's $20 and our Blockbuster card. Go get a pizza and rent a movie and enjoy your night with her, and then I'll come get you tomorrow. And I was like, okay. And it's funny because I mostly did that because I just wanted to be able to have a night with Jackson, and I didn't have the previous night with him. He was off doing his driver's test. So I can see this video has once again gotten too long. I've hardly gotten into anything, but that night, I'll just conclude this video by saying that night I had sex with Jackson for the first time, and it was sex with someone that I actually wanted to have sex with. A time where I wanted to have the experience, and it was really good. I mean, I'm not patting him on the back or anything. He wasn't the best I've ever had, now that I've had more than that, but in the context of everything, it was really good because I wanted it, I enjoyed the person I was with, and I was in control of my body and what I was doing with it. So it was a really nice experience, and it was really eye-opening for me because one thing that I was constantly told by John was that I was never going to be satisfied by anyone, that no one was ever going to be able to meet my needs, I don't know, sexually or something like that. And so to have enjoyed Jackson in that manner, and it was like the first time, and let's be real, if anyone's sexually experienced, you know that the first time's never the best. Like, once you get to know the person, that's when it actually starts to get good, because then you get to know like their little things that they like, or that they get to know what you like. But it was just such an eye-opening experience of, right, oh yeah, sex can be enjoyable, I can like it, I can want it. And so it was a further contributing help to me getting away. But unfortunately, I'm not going to conclude this video very nicely because I didn't get away. So at this point, like, I told Jackson, okay, so I met with him, and he says he's going to change, and so I'm going to go back tomorrow. And Jackson was just like, that's not a good idea. That's really not a good idea. You shouldn't. No, you need counseling. You need to go get counseling. You need to stay away from him, and you need to go get counseling. And so I was like, okay, yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, okay. So I called him the next day and was like, I know I said I was going to come, but I think I need counseling, and I think I need to like get some help. And I think I'd like to do that a bit before I like come and move back in or come back. And he just flipped out and was just like, no, you can't do that. Or not, he didn't say you can't do that, but he's just like, you're throwing your whole life away. I'm going to sell everything. You don't want your home. You don't want your life. You don't want your schooling. And sort of like threatened to take everything I had grown up with him with away. And I still had a lot of connection with a lot of the materials he'd given me, and I felt that, I needed a lot of the resources or support that he provided me in order for me to get through my schooling. So I wasn't wanting to throw all that away. I was wanting to make things better. So I was like, no, I don't want to throw it away. That's not what I'm trying to do. And he basically just like manipulated me through saying all these things to go back that day. Even though Jackson was just like, please don't go. I don't want you to go. You shouldn't leave. You need counseling. You need help. You shouldn't go back. I did. I'm sorry, Jackson. I've actually emailed him since and apologized and told him, you know, thank you. I'm doing better now. And he told me he was doing better now too, so that's good. But yeah, ooh, this one's really long. I felt really bad, of course, because that was my first chance to get away. And, excuse me, oh, hungry, grumbly tummy. Anyways, yeah, this is my first chance to get away, and he manipulated me back. And then, as soon as he got me back home, he was like, you didn't mean that, come on, you didn't mean that. Or maybe he even got mad at me, I don't remember. But he basically, like, reversed everything he said. It was all back to normalsies of, you know, being raped and such. And I do believe I had to, like, repent and all for all that time as well. I don't entirely remember, but that's the beginning of my running aways. And it's about 10 months long. Is it 10? It was from, like, May until March. Yeah. 10 months long. So I guess in the next video I'll get into that genuine 10-month adventure and how it finally concluded to me being free. Until next time.